So mate, super nice car. So tell us a bit of how you fit in and your involvement with the car, because it's here now to obviously have a few loose ends tidied up.
Yeah.
I seen it at the Hot Rod Show back in March, and then obviously it's been off and had dynos and things, so what you was telling me.
Yeah, so
your involvement from the start, when did all this happen and where did it sort of go?
Yeah, so it was probably like 2.5 years ago now that we first spoke about it. And then, obviously it was a while before I could start the car, just with my planning and everything.
I mean, that's pretty good though, 2.5 years. I mean, a lot of cars are 5 years, 10 years in the process. So I mean, it's done pretty well to get done in that time frame.
By that time, he had a lot of the work that was already done. He just had a few things to tidy up before I got it.
Yep.
So it was already a fair way along. I think the whole build's been about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, super nice car. I mean, it's all tidy. I mean, it's got the reverse cowl, but it probably wouldn't have to have it because the motor's pretty tight. We'll check that out in a minute.
Yeah.
What I really wanted to talk about a bit today was just, as a judge and obviously a trimmer of these sort of cars, really to head down the track a little bit about the process of trying to plan and work through a process so that the cars don't get redone halfway through, and some continuity between the fabricator, the body and paint guy and the trim, and then the final assembly and putting it together, because I just see a lot of people get lost on the way and it costs them a lot of time but also a lot of money.
Yeah, it does. It's the biggest thing, planning with everyone who's going to be involved from start to finish.
Yeah, so I look at it almost like, if you're building a house, you have an architect, that sort of designs the house, and all the people come through and build the house, and then at the end of the day the cleaner comes in and you move in. In a lot of cases we don't seem to do that with cars, where we start with a shell and send it to someone and it goes somewhere else, but we don't end up with the result maybe we wanted without redoing things because the master plan wasn't done at the start by the architect.
Yeah, and if things do change along the way, which they always do, it's about involving everyone else when those changes happen, so it's not just left up to whoever gets it last.
So from a paint point of view, I find that as we're doing body work, that the owner can see what we can do, and then they have changes of thoughts about where the car needs to go. Do you find the same with the trimmer? Like with the trim, when you're doing the work, do you find that what they initially start with and they see you working and go, oh, can we,
Yeah, I think when they see that you can actually build something a bit different, or they might not know that you could do a different style, then they'll
all of a sudden
jump on
all of a sudden it changes.
Yeah.
All right, well we might jump in and have a look at some different bits and look at the car as a whole, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, cool.
So anyone that watched me filming from the summer nats probably noticed I did a lot of engine bay footage because that's where my love I guess is, but we're going to do a bit more than that today. But this one's pretty impressive. When we lift this up and have a look, this seems to be where the scene's going nowadays, and mate, unbelievable how much stuff they've got jammed in here.
Yeah, it's pretty full.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it? And I mean, we did something very similar with that gold XA that we did with the twin turbo.
Yeah.
So I'll get you to run through the spec sheet in a minute because I have no idea what I'm looking at to some extent, but obviously twin turbo, you were telling me 1500?
Yeah, it's just over 1500 horsepower.
1500 at the tyres?
Yeah,
that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, insane.
I almost sort of struggle to work out how you even drive that. Yeah. But we'll get a couple of close-ups of some of the bits and pieces in there, but I'm very impressed with under here as well. And you tell me this is all steel?
All steel, yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean, the amount of effort and work to get that to look that good in steel, and a lot of the understanding's got to be is you've got to get both sides right. It's not a matter of getting the top right or the bottom right. You're getting both sides and not ending up with a 3 inches of bolt type of thing.
And that's what brings the car into the next level too. Having
you'd see that in the judging.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we'll do a couple of close-ups of that.
Yeah.
I'll get the data sheet there to give you a bit of a rundown on what's in there.
Yeah, so it's a 440 cube dart block.
So dark block Chev, obviously. I'm the Ford man, mate. Yeah, so it's a Chev, not an LS.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
which is a lot of people are happy about that.
Yeah, these days, everyone's pretty surprised and they go, "Oh, it's a Chev, not an LS." But
so, just skim through what you got there, mate.
Yeah, right. So JE custom pistons, Manley I beam rods, Callies Magnum crank, CNC ported heads, It's got a big cam in it. Like, it sounds lumpy for being a twin turbo car. It's still got a tough sound. But you can probably start it up later too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll do that for sure.
Turbo 400, 9-inch. Got a big converter in it. Wilwood brakes, 6-pot fronts, 4-pot rears.
So they haven't missed much.
Nah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, unbelievable list.
Paints, PPG Vibrance custom mix.
Yeah, the good quality stuff.
Got A9X kit on it. Yeah, smoothed out engine bay and the metal cowl.
Something that I really like about it, at first you don't see it, but it's got that black bonnet and up the sides, and then the dark grey. It's almost subtle enough that you don't see it initially, and then you go, oh, hang on a minute, is that a different colour?
Yeah, like as you look at it without light on it, you just think it's black almost.
Yeah, and then
when
you look at the rest, it's
it stands out.
a really good look.
Yeah.
All right, we might jump in and have a look at the trim.
Yeah, no worries.
Righto, Simon. So tell us a bit about, I guess, the fabrication process, and then what you've ended up with, and I guess the fuel for where that was all heading, and where your mind was at when you did the job.
Yeah, so we started off because he had the Recaro front seats. That was pretty much the basis of where we're going to start, and design wise, what we can do with the design with the seats, keeping it old school but still modern. So with the fabrication work, I pretty much started at the back seat because I knew that was going to be a big job. The standard seats in these cars are pretty basic. They're just like a chipboard at the back. The base was like a wire frame that was all bent and out of shape. So I pretty much bent up my own perforated aluminium seat base.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
And then the backrest I made up as well. So it doesn't flip forward, it's not the split anymore. And just reshaped, made up my own shapes for the back seat to match the fronts. We did toy with the idea of putting the same mesh headrests in the back, but to look at the car from behind, I think that's all you'd see.
Yeah,
just
I like where you've gone with it. I think you can sort of overthink it sometimes and maybe put too much in, trying to get a result, and all you end up doing is cluttering everything up. Yeah,
and it just would have been very busy just having the two headrests in the back. So yeah, and then also with the dash, because we've got the Holly screen in there, which they're pretty big. So with the original dash, that wasn't going to fit.
Yep.
So all that's original about the dash is just the dash top.
Yeah, okay.
So I had to fabricate the whole lower section, so it's all the original sort of shapes, and even all the sides and everything, they're all still original styling, but it was probably like 15-20 mil bigger. Yeah. So we could fit the screen in.
To get the screen in.
Yeah, so that was a lot of the fabrication work in here, and then the other fab work was in the cargo area.
We'll have a look in there in a minute. So, I mean, with the dash side of things, I guess what I like to try and do is you make those mods, but then people need to really look to see whether there is a mod.
Yeah,
if you get it right, it's almost like, is that different?
Yeah, that's why I tell people about the dash, because no one really even knows about it.
And I think that's a sign of a good design and good workmanship, when you can get to that point where you've sort of done something and then people really don't quite pick up on it until they're told about it. And I mean, how do you go with that when you're judging? Say if you're at the Summit Hatch and you're judging a car that you may not be familiar with, that must get difficult to know, what's done and what the mods are and all those sorts of things.
It's funny, because when you're judging, you get two types of people. Someone will just tell you absolutely everything about the car, and someone has to stop them. So I just do interiors, so I don't need to know about the undercarriage. But which is good, because you get to learn about the car anyway. But or some people just drop the car off and then you can't find them.
So something I've done for quite some years now with my own cars is to actually put together and build up a book for the judges. Yeah. So that they understand.
I've seen them.
Yeah. And then break that down where the trimmer gets his trim book and the body guy gets his body book, so that they've got photos of the process. Because a lot of people say to me, oh, you know all the judges, that's why you do well. But I think it's knowing the system, not knowing the judges.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And what we're looking for and what scores well, and knowing exactly what the car's got and what's been. And
then being able to portray that, because you guys only got a short period of time to judge a car.
Yeah, so you pretty much prejudge every car. Yep. And then there's some that you come back to and you'll have to go over.
I try and explain that to people, whereby to me, even for myself, and I mean I haven't done a lot of judging, but for me I can pick a car and go, you know, that's potentially a top 60 car, so I want to go and have a good look at that.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's the same feeling for you guys. When they roll up to you, you've already got a sense in your mind that I need to have a really hard look at this one.
Yeah, you do. You can pick them as soon as they start rolling in. You can see they've taken the time to get the little things right, or they've even just cleaned it properly.
Yep.
The whole style of the car as well.
So then my understanding is once you get to that point, you've probably by the end of the 2 days, and I mean you judge about what, 800 cars?
Yeah.
That once you've done that, you've probably got 5 trim jobs in your mind that keeps playing over and over. That at some point in time you're going to have to pick one.
Yeah. Each year I think there's more and more.
Yeah.
Because I think with interiors especially, the fabrication has come into it a lot more.
Yep.
It's not just wrapping a flat panel. There's more shape in everything now. So these cars are just getting built with bigger and bigger budgets.
And that's probably another subject that I'll come back to, and we might actually have a sit down, you know, at the desk and talk about some of those things, because I think it's important for people to understand, because people say to me, why'd that win, or why didn't this win? And a lot's to do with whether they're fulfilling the criteria that you guys are given to judge by.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting that there's no category in there that says whether you like it or not.
Yeah, you've got your...
There's no box that says, I like this car. There's a box that says, you know, design, execution, quality, ergonomics, all those things for interior, but there's nothing there that says, as a judge, I like this car.
Yeah.
1 out of 10. It doesn't have that, because that takes the personality of the judge out of the system, which is what is desired, because if you're a Holden guy, you're probably going to like a Holden more than a Ford or a Chrysler or something. So whether it's an attractive trim or whether you personally like it doesn't actually come into the whole judging criteria. Yeah,
you're judging on the level of difficulty that they've gone to and their execution of how well they've finished everything off and the gaps and that,
All right, we might pop in the back and have a look.
Yeah.
Because I know you've got a lot going on in there as well.
Yeah, no worries.
So just explain to us a little bit about the process and what you've got going on. Obviously there's a whole lot of panels made and boxes and things, so just give us a bit of a rundown on how you ended up with what we've got and what we're looking at.
Yeah, so I think with these hatchbacks, the biggest thing is covering up where the struts are at the back there.
Oh, because they have the mount for the
they're just a real odd shape there, and you got to try and cover that in with it looking nice. So, and also having the battery and the big fuel system and everything else that comes with cars like this.
It's all got to go somewhere.
Yeah, and it's pretty big and intrusive. So you've basically got a flat panel underneath that panel here. And that houses everything. And then this is all just got screws there. So if you have
fabricated up to look right, still leave enough room for my golf clubs.
That's it.
It's good. And then all of this in here, is this timber, steel, plastic, fiberglass?
Yeah, so this is a mixture of alu panel and timber, which we made all these up as well and made the surrounds for the speakers, put the mesh in. We've got the floor here which lifts out as well. That's just to get access to the fuel tank and fuel pumps. And there's also, I've mounted a battery charger underneath the floor as well, so you can just plug it in. Good idea. I'm going to do that with Boss XC, actually have a Century make a nice little charger that comes with a plug and all with it. Yeah, right.
And I'm just going to hook that up in the trim so we can just plug that in, so when he's not using the car, you can put it on one of the, it's a service type charger. So you can just leave it on there all the time. And then I don't know if you've seen them, they make a little one now that goes on the battery and it's got an app that goes to your phone.
Oh, right,
And it actually tells you how much charge. So if you've got a car that you don't use very often, when the battery gets low, it actually sends you a signal that says your battery's getting low. So
handy.
All of these things, and they all need to be part of that process again of the planning to be able to fit them in and make it all work.
That's it,
Mate, I love it. Looks really clean, tidy. You know, the colour combo is great.
Yeah, we kept the design with this centre section here as well. That ties in with what's on the dash and the door trims. So it all ties in together.
Looks good. So if you get a car that's at this level and this much horsepower, what a lot of people don't think about when they sort of think, oh yeah, I'll spend 30 grand, 50 grand on an engine, is the cost transfers all the way to the back. So, you know, you need a converter to then handle it, the gearbox is going to handle it, tail shaft, the diff, axles as part of the diff, and then all the way out to the wheel studs. And you can see the size of the wheel studs here. So if you're going to make 1500 horsepower at the tyres and you're going to go out and use it, then you need to make sure it eventually gets to the tyres and doesn't rip the studs off or rip the guts out of the wheel. So that cost from the front goes all the way to the back, and you're probably going to spend as much money getting that transfer of power all the way to the rear as you are what you're going to spend on the engine.